Turn me up, turn me up, turn me up. It's your boy Ralph, aka Mr. Indeed.
And you already know it's your boy Antoine, aka Red, and we here for a good time, not a long time. And we promise to always keep it.
Real, raw, and relevant. Welcome to today's episode of the Rated R Podcast.
We back with a part 3. We're gonna call this one Wisdom and Knowledge.
So tonight we got a special guest, two of my favorite people in the whole world. My big cousin, Andrea, aka Tracy, aka Cat Right. Then I got my big cuz Steve, aka the absolute clown of the family, because this man is hilarious. He also find new pie till he die. But outside that, I'm gonna let you guys introduce yourself and tell a little bit about you.
What's going on, everybody? I'm Stephen Hopkins, aka the Chosen One. Just glad to be on the show, being with Mr. Indeed and Mr. Parker. So just excited about sharing.
You already done me good, Ralph. You know, they call me Tracy, but I'm Andrea, Stephen's wife. And you forgot me. I represent the ladies of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. My apologies. That is right. Also has one of the top event planners in the state of Mississippi. You know what I'm saying? Perfections. The link is going to be in the bio for y'all to check it out. She one of the best. And not only in the state of Mississippi, but in the United States. And believe you me, she traveled for the money. You hear me? Outside of that, Red.
I do.
Let them know what we talking about today, Red, and go on hit them with that first question.
Okay, no problem. We're gonna get straight into it. As y'all will see, we're gonna use some of the questions from part 2 in part 1, and we're gonna give you the wisdom of a married couple, a seasoned couple. Maybe I should put it that way, a seasoned couple.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get straight into it. Question number 1, and y'all can answer however you would like to. We're gonna go straight into from our part 2. What can a spouse give that absolutely a girlfriend/boyfriend cannot?
This is a conversation I often have with a lot of people, my friends and I, when we talk about husband and wives versus boyfriend, girlfriends. And one of the things I always use for an example for me and Stephen and I is I always say that no matter where I am or what happens, I have full confidence in knowing that there's somebody out there looking for me. If something happens to me, Steve's going to find me. And when it comes to a boyfriend or girlfriend, they can easily just throw you away or say, I'm not worried about you, I'm not concerned about you. But when you have a spouse, there's a responsibility that's tied to you. It's not tied to a boyfriend or girlfriend. And I hate to say it, sometimes there are benefits as well. You know, when I leave this place, everything goes to my husband. It doesn't go to my boyfriend. So but the main thing for me is knowing I have full confidence in knowing that if anything happens to me, I don't come home today, Steve's gonna find me, and I don't have to worry about that.
I like it. From my perspective, I think what can a spouse receive that a girlfriend or boyfriend cannot? Absolute honesty. When you're in a marriage, there are places and areas of your relationship that you can access that are not available for a unmarried couple, a girlfriend, boyfriend. So I think when you're in a relationship as we are, there's absolute honesty available in any and all situations. And I think married couples are able to take advantage of that type of avenue in their relationship.
For the people, can you guys tell them how long y'all been together and been married?
Okay. Together 22 years, be married 20 years next month, November the 6th. So currently 19 years married.
Woo!
Yeah.
I still remember that wedding like it was yesterday. I remember that wedding. I was supposed to be at the Jack State Homecoming Parade. I was supposed to be cranking up at the Jack State Homecoming Parade, and I was looking at my boy Steve walk down the aisle with the white on, throwing the rose petals in the air while you walk down the aisle. That's still one of the dopest scenes ever that I've seen at a wedding.
Mr. Parker, I'm gonna have to show you some of the young Ralph pictures. Young Mr. Indeed.
And Mr. Yeah. When the Mr. wasn't there, it was just Indeed.
It was just the end. Wasn't no deed in it.
Okay. Let's go into question number 2. How do you, as a seasoned couple, married couple, feel about 50-50? First, before you tell me how you feel about 50-50, tell me what does 50-50 mean to you?
I was going to actually ask you a question because sometimes people say 50-50 isn't like money or 50-50 isn't like the relationship. And for me, there is no 50-50 in relationships, in my opinion, in marriages. People think there are, like this is your chore, this is my chore, but that doesn't work. You gotta do what works for the family. My husband cooks when I'm tired. I communicate to him when I need him to cook. So there's no 50-50. I mean, I've more than you before, maybe only once, but still, there's no 50-50 relationship. The difference should not be 50-50 in money neither handled. That's just my opinion about that.
I agree. And as the leader of this home, there is no 50-50 at all. When there's a deficit in any area, it's my job to fill in the gap. And that's one of the ingredients I think that's made us last almost 20 years. So I don't look at whether it's 50-50. I don't expect my wife to wash dishes or do laundry or anything like that. I do those things as well. And that keeps an amount of peace and harmony in the home. When something needs to be done, I'm not looking at her or sitting on the couch, in my underwear, waiting on her to do it. I just do it. And she's appreciative of that. And I think that's an attribute that we've developed over many, many years. And it takes a while for couples, whether they're dating or married, to figure those type of things out. But definitely, I don't see our relationship as 50-50 at all. Sometimes it may be 0 or 100, or vice versa. But that's absolutely something that especially the men have to come into the relationship and be flexible and make sure you're doing what it takes to make it work. And that has nothing to do with 50-50.
Okay.
I like that.
Yeah, I like that too. And we talked about it. Red, by the way, this is what I was talking about when I was like, my uncle and my brother-in-law was watching the episode on the way from Texas. There was my cousin Teresa and Steve, and they called me like, they was real proud. And so when we was looking for a couple, I was like, well, I absolutely got to call my cousin them, because the one thing that our family gonna do is always keep it real and raw. And so, I mean, it was a must that they got on, and I really appreciate them for this time and all the knowledge that they dropping right now, because I'm telling you, it's a breath of fresh air for somebody who been married 8 years rather than going on 20.
Yeah, even worse. I only been there 3 years, so yeah, I need all this.
Yeah,
but I
absolutely.
will say, to answer your question, well, you will see in our videos previous that we did kind of feel like we don't look at 50-50 as monetized at all. Matter of fact, I look at it as in it's no 50-50. When I'm married, we're 100%. So whatever you can bring, I fill in the rest, or vice versa. And I like that you said it, because now it makes me as a man feel like, okay, I'm doing the right thing. So that was definitely a great answer, in my opinion.
Hey, Red, totally different answers than the single lady answers, buddy.
Hey,
I can tell you that.
We gotta go there. Before I go to the next one, so I guess just to sum it up in different terms, so you feel like there's no such thing as gender roles?
No,
not at all.
No. We're trying to build a life. We're trying to make a home, and that's the most important thing. And when you start divvying up duties and things like that, I think the expectations become a little stressed.
Yeah.
So no.
Yeah. Y'all hit it on the head. Okay. Let's get to a deep one. How do you handle disagreements or arguments in your household? And do you feel that it's really helpful? Well, obviously you've been together 20 years, so you're going to feel it's helpful. But would it help a younger couple, the way that you handle it?
We've progressed over the years of how we handle disagreements. We got married at 22 and 23. We were really young, fresh out of college. And, you know, at the time, in the early years, you probably handled it in the wrong ways, meaning you probably argued, gotten upset, things like that. But I'm a communicator in the family. I'm a Cancer. My husband said I over communicate, but I believe in telling you how I feel. And to me, that's like the first step in trying to understand there is a problem. And what I've been doing lately, because I think in marriages, the enemy tries to make us believe that we are the enemy to each other. So oftentimes when there's disagreement, I often tell my husband, pause for a minute and make sure you understand that I'm not your enemy. Let's just try to work through this thing. But the best way to handle it is to talk through it. Stephen used to do a thing that I really like about our relationship, that when we did have a disagreement, because you're going to have that. When we ended this agreement, sometimes we didn't really come to an agreement. It was just like, okay, this is not working out right now. We're going to take a minute and pause. And he would grab my hand and we would pray and we'll circle back to it later. Because sometimes you just can talk yourself to death and it's just not going to happen at that moment. So we realize sometimes this just not going to happen tonight. We'll close out in prayer and circle back to it tomorrow or sometimes next week. So I know it's cliche, but it's literally just, you got to talk through the process. You just really got to talk about it. Walking away and shout ain't going to fix nothing. You got to find a way to come back to it and talk through. Because if you don't, you're going to be saying the same thing over and over every week because you never got to an agreement on what the problem was.
Yeah. I agree. Our spats and approach to resolve things has evolved over the years. There are two things that I'll mention that I employ to try to navigate some of those issues. Number one, and my wife doesn't particularly like this, but when she brings an issue to me, I'm not so quick to answer. I'm going to listen probably 90 to 95% of the time. And I may not interact with her right then about what my feelings are. And the reason that is so is because I know my words, they can either heal or hurt.
Right.
And if I disagree or if I have a certain belief about something, I may be an hour, a day, a week, or whatever it is, so that I can really, really think through what my response to her is going to be, because I don't want to hurt her. The other thing I try to do is make sure I set the tone for the conversation. And if she tells me early in the day, hey, I need to talk to you about something, when I get home, I say, listen, I'm ready to talk, but if your voice get raised, it's over. We're canceling the discussion. We'll come back to it later. So you really, really have to make sure you're not hurting with your words, because I got to live with her. I got to sleep in the bed with her, and I don't want anybody sleeping in the bed beside me that's ready to hit me with a hammer. And the other thing is, I definitely want to make sure that I'm being responsive to her issue, and I want to know I'm going to help.
Hey, I'm gonna tell y'all something. Believe it or not, I don't think y'all understand how important this information is that y'all giving me and Red, because we've been having these conversations and we've been having struggle conversations. And to hear this from a well-seasoned married couple, it is very good to hear. I don't know about Red, but I can tell you one thing. This is exactly what the doctor ordered today.
Yeah. I gotta agree. I'm already at the house writing stuff down. Like, yep, I'm about to put that in my book.
My boy said I gotta write that down.
Yeah. I gotta see if that's gonna work in this household. If not, we're gonna, like you said, we're gonna circle back to it. All right. Question number 4. How important is intimacy in a marriage?
Very, very, very important. One of the constant, if I had to put the word issue on Steve and I, is we talk about intimacy all the time. Me and my husband is, and sometimes, the intimacy, it lacks. So it's very, very important. It's very important, especially for a woman. It's a must. For me, I think for most females, Stephen is a hard worker. He's a provisional man, like I. And oftentimes I'm not say forgets the intimacy, but it's just not the top priority. but it is for me. And intimacy is an rare thing. Intimacy is just, sitting down talking to me, holding my hand. I often tell them a lot of times, you gotta find time for us just to communicate and just talk about, just life. And that's one of the things I love about us. When we do talk, we have really good, deep conversations. I really enjoy our conversations. So yeah, intimacy, it's a must. I mean, that's how the relationship grows. Now, I ain't talking about in the bed. I'm talking about intimacy before you even get to the bedroom. That is just so important.
To all your listeners, I'm always trying to catch up. So it's something that I've been that I've been working on for many years, trying to fulfill her needs, and make sure that my wife is taken care of, and making sure she doesn't have a reason to look around or to want for something from somebody else. So it's always something in the back of my mind that I need to do more. There's always room for improvement, and definitely it's something that I actively am working on, even to this day after 20 years. Actively trying to do a little more, trying to make sure, if you notice your partner and their habits, you can see where you need to fill in some of the gaps, and just day by day, just being conscious of doing a little bit more and trying to meet her needs.
Yeah, and I get it too, because it as a man, when you work a lot and you trying to get so much stuff done, like I got a 48 to 72 hour limit. If in 48 or 72 hours I haven't been intimacy with Shavonda in some type of way, like it's a problem, and she gonna let me know it's a problem. Like, hey, what's going on here? I need, you know what I'm saying? Let's talk about it. What's going on? And so I definitely get it. And it's good to know that it's just not me, but it's also, a seasoned married man as well. So I promise you, I appreciate that.
Oh yeah.
Go ahead, Red.
On that note, yeah, I definitely agree. It's a lot that Mr. Steven is saying that just hits home, especially understanding and as well as Ms. Andrea, because when she basically explained that what I said in previous videos, it's all about learning your person. And though that's not top priority for him, he's making sure he takes the time to reevaluate himself because he knows how important it is to her. That goes back to what I was talking about when I talk about know your spouse love language, and you love them the way they want to be loved, not the way you want to love them. So yeah, this is very, very helpful. But I go to the last question. All right, so we're gonna end it with this. If you could give advice to a younger couple that's thinking about getting married or just got married, what would it be? Take us out with a banger. What would it be?
I want to speak directly to the females. And one thing that I think for young women that can be a benefit for them is two things. Number one is to watch our mouth. This causes so many problems in a relationship. And women have the tendency to want things to be done when they want it done, how they want it done, right now, no patience. And what we fail to realize is that, and I hate to say it, we truly have the power. Like, we have the power. And even though the man is the head of the house, he leads the family, the woman, when we're out of control, the whole house out of control, like completely. If I'm in a spaz because I'm having a bad day, my kids are acting crazy, still know what's going on. So we have, as women, have to learn to control this mouth and use it in the right manner to get things we need from our spouse, from our husband. And if I had to say something, the second thing for married people as well, and I lost my train of thought. I want to say is really important. I'm gonna let Stephen go when it come back to him. I'll come back to it because I had a good second one, but I'm gonna let him jump on in and say what his is.
Two things. Number one, when you are having problems in your relationship, there is nothing wrong with seeking some help and getting some counseling. There's nothing wrong with that. We all need some impartial person that is wise to listen to what's going on and give us some feedback and some honest feedback on what's going on in the relationship. Sometimes it has to be a third person to kind of say, hey, Steve, you look, hey, you ain't right here, and you need to do a little bit better. And a lot of times that's very, very helpful, and they can absolutely help you resolve some lingering issues in the relationship. The other from a counseling session that Tracy and I were in, the counselor asked Tracy to excuse herself, and he told me, and I believe this to this day. He said, whatever happens in that house, whatever goes wrong, it is your fault as the husband, as the father. So I really wake up every day taking on the responsibility that whatever goes well, whatever goes wrong, it's my fault. And you know, things are going good, it's because I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. But if things are going bad, whether it's problems in our relationship or problems with my two daughters, it's up to me to resolve it and up to me to fix it. So it's something that's helped me over the years think through and resolve some issues that were lingering in our relationship and in our home. And you know, a strong relationship, it really is contagious, and it bleeds down to our children. We have two wonderful daughters, and I think that is a result of us being God-fearing. I pray with my family every morning. Doing small things like that really set the tone. And all other couples, or whether they've been together 40 years or 50 years or a year, doing small things like praying together, and the praying, everybody doesn't pray together, but you know, taking to get the family together to just set the mood is very important.
Okay, Miss Andrea, did you get your part two? Did you remember?
I did remember my second thing I wanted to say. I do want to jump on what Stephen said about the counseling. I agree with him. Stephen and I were married 10 years, we went to counseling. So don't ever feel like we've been together for so long, we have it together, because at 10 years we realized, matter of fact, he woke up one day, I never forget, in January, and said, counseling is our only option. It's time for us to do that. And we went through 8 months of intensive counseling, and it was the best thing we could have ever done. And as you can see, he still remember what happened almost 14 years ago now, almost 10 years ago. But the other thing I want to say to the female married women or those engaged looking to get married is, a lot of times I hear people complain about our position is like the helpmate, you know, how we have to take on, you know, women do, we carry a lot, being a mother, being a wife, having to cook and clean, and we complain about, you know, having to help our husbands all the time and carrying all these different burdens. But if we could realize that our role as the helpmate is also close to the same role as the Holy Spirit is to us, and be okay with that, and just enjoy the role and understand how important it is, the role that God gave us as the helpmate to our spouse, we'll look at it differently. My sister and I talk a lot about marriage, and you know, a lot of times, I don't mean nothing against y'all married men, will say things like, how he ain't supposed to know. And I always say, they just don't know. If we get in our mind that y'all just don't know and it's okay, then we can just do it. Like, they don't know. Don't worry about what we think they're supposed to know, how they should know. They don't know. Do your job as the helpmate and move on. A lot of times we agitate ourselves trying to figure out and solve why he don't know. He should know. My husband is well educated, just got his DBA. There are some things that he just want me to do for him, and I'm gonna do it, even though I know he can. But I'm gonna do it because that's just my role. So that's my advice for young married women getting ready to get married, or are newly married.
Hey, so that has been a great perspective. I do have a bonus question, because I know that you guys do have kids. So I know, like, Shavonna and I have like 2 different parental styles. And I seen a video on Facebook the other day when Teresa was in the choir stand, and I'm not sure which one of them was doing something, but she gave him that look like, hey, you better chill out. And so, like, what are you guys' parenting style when it comes to like the kids and y'all together?
I'll start with girls. I decided at the beginning to let my wife lead there, and a lot of issues that come up, I lean and depend on her recommendation and her knowledge of girls and being a woman and a young lady, to help guide us. You know, a lot of times my daughters they'll ask me to do something, or can they do something? And first, immediate response is, have you talked to your mother? One of the things that I've wanted to cultivate in our home is us being unified when we're dealing with our two daughters. I don't want them to see any division between me and my wife, because once they see a little space there, they can take advantage of that and use us against, and play us off each other and use us against each other. But I definitely lean and depend on my wife's experience as a woman to help guide us through some of the pitfalls of being a girl dad. So I am very, very protective. I was just telling my two daughters, they're trying to go to the homecoming dance at their high school, and they think I'm not going. I'm going. So it's one of those situations where I just want to make sure they're taken care of and they're safe.
He not going.
I'm going.
I'm on Stephen. What he said is correct. He does allow me to kind of lead with the girls, but I just make sure they understand their father has an opinion that they run everything by him. They will come to me first, and I always say yes or no, but I say make sure your dad's okay with them, because I want them to ever feel like he doesn't have a say so, because he does. He has a final say so. And then he's right. I don't let the girls, because they will try to play us. They be like, "Why we got to ask daddy? Why you can't?" I'm like, "Nope, don't do it. Like your father and I make a collective decision. That's how we're going to handle things." So yeah, that's kind of how we navigate the arena of the girls, and they understand it. They do. And he knew nothing about the video rap, because he be on the other side of the church. I was ashamed, but not really, because you can't be talking in church. Simple as that.
Yeah, I seen the video. I said, "Yup, that's yup." That was one of them mama looks like. You better sit down and stop talking for something heavy. But yeah, man. Red, you got something to say before I get us out of here?
No, sir. No, sir. Definitely before. I know Rap gonna say it, but I want to say it first. I definitely appreciate y'all wisdom, y'all knowledge, and the time, even with the technical difficulties. So y'all are definitely welcome back. Matter of fact, y'all will be back as long as y'all have the time for us. And we definitely thank you for watching us in the meantime and your support. So again, I would just want to make sure I personally say thank you. Go ahead, Rap.
Well, of course, family, and I really appreciate y'all. It meant the world to me for my Uncle Willie Earl. When y'all heard me talk about my Uncle Willie Earl, that's Tracy right there. So that's her daughter. And so it meant the world for me for my uncle to call me and be like, "Hey, yeah, me and Steve, we was riding down the road and we heard y'all podcast, man. Y'all doing a good job. Like, keep doing what you're doing. Your following may not be big, but as long as you keep this up, just keep doing what you're doing." And so, like I said, it meant the world to me. I told Red, he was happy. He was like, "You know what? That right there alone let us know we just got to keep going." And so we appreciate y'all. We also appreciate this knowledge. Like I said, me and Red has been having these conversations, I know, the past 2 weeks. And so when he say he wrote something down, I believe he wrote something down, and he gonna have some questions when he get out. So sis, I hope you ready, because he coming. But outside of that, man, the one thing we're going to always do on the Rated R podcast, we're going to always keep it real, raw, and relevant. Thank you for tonight's episode of the Rated R podcast.